Back in the 90s, I wrote a little article for a friend's book. It never got published, my article, not her book. I'd like to use its title and concepts as a jumping-off point for this discussion. It was titled, Your Money or Your Life. The phrase, your money or your life, is something you might expect a robber to say to you. Although very few of us have been held up and robbed by someone, almost all of us have been robbed by ourselves. In fact, we usually rob ourselves twice. We give up our money and we give up our lives. The robber claiming to be us thinks that money buys happiness, satisfaction, and love, and that to get this money to buy happiness, satisfaction, and love, we must sacrifice our lives to work for money. What confusion we find ourselves in. We desire to be rich, and we work for what that means in the form of money, forgetting that being rich in money does not automatically make us wealthy. How often have you chosen to do or not do something because you believe the choice would bring you money, and with that money you would be able to have what you want for your life? Did it work? Too often it makes things worse, doesn't it? Why? Because it begins from the wrong motive and intention. When you uncover your true sense of wealth, you will never trade that knowledge or your life for all the money in the world. You won't have to, because that knowledge will reveal to you all that you appear to need. As Henry David Thoreau said, money is not required to buy one necessity of the soul. To be truly wealthy and secure in that wealth, the understanding of true abundance must be present in the mind and the heart. Abundance is an ever-flowing, inexhaustible, open floodgate of wealth. Abundance even provides wealth in the form of money, but money does not provide wealth. I really didn't stop to think about money and wealth in this way when I started my business career as a certified financial planner back in 1983. As a woman struggling to raise my children, be the primary breadwinner, and an entrepreneur, I was very focused on what I needed to do to make more money. I had two guiding principles. One, I thought the harder I worked, the more money I would make. And two, of course, the more money I made, the happier my family and I would be. I wanted to do this in a way that would also serve others and assist them in being rich. So I chose the financial planning profession. I wanted to learn about money for myself, as I had come from a background of the dance and the arts. Although I had run a dance school for years to bring in extra money, I really didn't understand how the business world and money worked. I talked my way into a financial planning firm, not having a clue what stocks and bonds were. I got my certified financial planner license with the intent of not only providing security for me and my family, but helping others just like me understand money, save more, invest more, get more. I worked, I planned, and I learned. I presented my information to clients with all the wonderful suggestions I had and very elaborate financial plans. What happened? They would say, "I'll think about it." And sometimes they did, but first they asked everyone else what they thought. One of two things would most likely happen. Either they would not do anything at all, or they would decide to gamble at something else that looked like faster money. One day it dawned on me that we are all locked inside a point of view. If the information being presented to us does not coincide with what we believe to be true about the world and ourselves, then we will not be able to act on anything, no matter how wonderful it is. Or someone who knows how to manipulate our basic emotional needs like security, freedom, love, and power will easily sway us to ideas and actions that we would not ordinarily take. I discovered that having money didn't happen just because my clients worked harder or planned better. It started first with a belief system. I realized they could not get wealthier in money or in any other form of wealth than what they believed they deserved to have. I began to see that if I was going to really help people have more money, I would have to start with helping them find their wealth within. I had to change my and their focus from being concerned about how much money they will have when they retire to how much money is within their life today. I also had to change the focus for them and myself as to what money really means. I had to reevaluate the rules and belief systems set up around the acquiring, keeping, and growing of money. That was my shift. It was also when I seriously began to write about, speak about, and teach classes and workshops called The Shift. Actually, first it was called The Power of Perception, and then was changed to The Shift based on my company name and what everybody else was calling it. So the first step in any shift is to know where you currently stand and what you believe to be true. You need to know because otherwise you don't know where you are shifting from. And once you do shift, you will try to convince yourself nothing has changed. For me to start consciously shifting, I had to learn to look at my life as it was and then tell myself the truth about what I was seeing. I noticed that I had worked hard to get things for people I loved, but in the process had lost precious times with those people. I noticed that the harder I worked did not necessarily make me more money. It just gave me less time and depleted my inner resources. I also realized that I was doing things only because I thought the only thing of importance was to make money. I thought that for all the right reasons. Any other desire I had, if it didn't have a profitable bottom line, I did not do it. Since many things didn't look profitable from a money standpoint, I had put on hold a large part of myself, and I was quietly unhappy. I clearly realized that money won't make you happier, but having money while being happy is fabulous. And yet most people with money are not happier than those without, since they are still laboring under the worldview about wealth and money. When you look at your life, you discover your own personal belief system. If you don't know what it is, look at what the world around you has given you, and you will know what you believe. One way to do this without being attached to the results is to see your life as a movie. Ask yourself, what does the writer and producer of this movie believe to be true? What parts of the movie do you like? What parts do you not like? In a sense, we have all accepted a script and are playing out our roles as if we don't have a choice. But we do. We are the writer, producer, and actor in our own personal movie. I realized that although I enjoyed the financial markets, what I loved most was helping others change their perception to enlarged view, to see and experience the underlying good that occurs in every moment and is ours. Since true wealth has to involve doing what you love, I had to practice what I was beginning to preach. One of the first steps I took was to shift the way I viewed my financial clients. I no longer expected them to follow a plan that I had laid out for them. Instead, I wanted them to perceive their own personal ability to determine what they really wanted, and then to know they had the ability to accomplish that dream. I discovered there was no mistake that I had found my way to work that involved money. I was teaching what I needed to learn. One of the biggest lessons I learned as I worked in the field of financial planning and being a stockbroker was that it is impossible to have more of anything until you think there is more of everything. When we worry about lack, it's usually the lack of money. We think that money is solid and how we deal with it is logical. In reality, money is almost pure emotion. This is because we measure most of our worth, security, and freedom by how we feel about the level of our bank account. Since the results produce emotional responses, the lack of money receives most of our attention. It is easy to say intellectually that everything will be all right. But when there is not enough money in the bank to pay a bill, our emotions and feelings focus our attention on the lack. But it is the same lack point of view that also tells us that we don't have enough of anything else, like time, space, patience, love, etc. We only see and get what we believe to be true. Anything that doesn't fit our belief system gets filtered out. If you never expand and shift to a new point of view, nothing will ever change. An expanded point of view always brings more because it contains more. I also discovered that being happy brought me more wealth in all its forms. I began to choose things to do that made me happy, even though I could not see a profit in them. The profit, I was beginning to learn, is found in having a wealthy and abundant heart. I began to pursue my dream of helping others shift their perception to a broader point of view and find the wealth within first. This involves being practical while planning what may seem impossible. Many of my financial planning clients had not done this when they first came to me. Like most of us, they had chosen to do things that involved sacrificing their life and love of doing something else in order to provide for others. Their money life often reflected this choice, as there was either not enough of it or it was locked up in unproductive assets. It was heart-wrenching to watch clients choose others over themselves, thinking that would solve a problem. It was mostly women working dead-end jobs, giving money to non-working children or husbands because for some reason they thought it was their duty and suffering would make them better. This never works because sooner or later your car, called your body and mind, runs out of gas, and then no one is better off. Everyone benefits, especially those you love, if you love yourself first. It is a fine balance to be practical and take care of the basic needs of life while pursuing a dream, but it must be done to achieve true wealth. The first thing you need to learn about investing is to invest in what you know and love. George Kelly said, "It is never too late to become what you ought to have been." The first person to love is you. If you have love for yourself and your value, that investment will come first. It's much like being on an airplane. While describing the safety features and how to use the oxygen mask, the flight attendants make a point of telling you to put your mask on first and then help others. If you pass out from lack of air, you will be of no help to anyone. In much the same way, this is true about our money lives. Pay yourself first. Do what you love. You will have plenty to share. If you love yourself first, it will be also easier to spot the people, places, and things that take more than they give, and easier to let them go. If you love yourself first, you will have a clearer insight into who and what you want to give your love to. There are some important questions to ask yourself as you shift your money life. The obvious question is, what makes you feel wealthy? And then pursue the answers. But it is just as important to ask yourself, what makes me feel poor? Notice the feelings that you have when you are feeling poor. Are you afraid, angry, unhappy, or defiant? What happened to produce that feeling? Do you have any memory of when it happened before? This is the same idea as looking at your life and the world around you to find out what you believe. This question, you are focusing on what you believe about money or the lack of it. Once you can see a pattern of what produces a poor feeling, detach from it and let the feelings go. In your mind and heart, reverse what is making you feel poor by choosing to see the situation in another way. Love the person, place, or thing that is producing the negative emotion. Find something about them or it for which you can be grateful. Practice this imagination technique until you feel wealthy. Choose an action to take that will move you towards a dream or love that you have. The world will correspond to the emotional picture you imagine and the action you take. Another way to see your movie about money is to pay attention to how you spend or save it. You will probably find that it's very symbolic about how you feel about life as a whole. Pay attention to your inner voice that tells you what you can shift in your thought to allow greater wealth into your life. You must back up and open the door of your heart for this to happen. For this door opens inward. No amount of pushing will make wealth happen. Money will come in that same door as long as you do not equate money as wealth, but only as a result of the knowing and feeling of true wealth. One key component to understanding the difference between money and wealth is to write a list of the qualities you believe you would have if you had more money. This could first be a general list of what you feel money will give you, like happiness, love, security, freedom. Then make it a list of how you would feel if you had everything you wanted. Qualities can be described in one word, so if you are writing sentences, you are not clear yet about what you want. Also, take the time to make a quality list for the physical things you want to buy with money. For example, you may be working to buy an extra car. Write down the qualities of what a car would provide, and then what the qualities of the car would feel like if you had the perfect one. The result of all these lists will be twofold. You may discover that you already have the qualities you seek to buy, and the things that you do need will enter your life without effort. Sometimes the money will be there to buy them, and sometimes they will be there in another form. Whichever way it happens, your human needs will be met if you begin with qualities. Observing and being grateful for the qualities brings us closer to the source of true wealth, which is divine love. Turning things into qualities is turning things into thoughts, which is the substance of our being, and what outpictures as our life. It's hard to jump into what seems like empty space without wings. So for me, I had to not only begin to shift my perception and expand my point of view, I had to begin to live from a point of view that had no limits. And I wanted to base my actions on a point of view that put love, God first, which for me has changed my life and continues to change my life more than I could have planned or imagined. The best part of this shift is I am not completely captured by the false belief that working harder produces more money, or that I have to sacrifice my personal time and myself in order to be wealthy. Although I still fill my days with work, it is because I love to and I want to. It is a conscious choice to do what I do. My feelings of wealth now stem from expressing myself in ways that I love, whether they look profitable or not in the world view. I feel wealthy because I spend time to be with friends and family, to share ideas that have helped me to be an artist again, to travel, to think, to read, and to write, and to share truth with those that are seeking to live it. With this kind of wealth, I don't need to check my bank account to find out if I have enough, although I do pay attention to it in order to express the qualities of attention, order, and responsibility. With an expanded, unlimited point of view that starts with love as a guide, when poor thoughts rear their ugly head, I know exactly how to drive them away and feel wealthy. If all else fails, I move to feelings of gratitude for anything I can think of, no matter how small. No poor feelings can withstand a flood of gratitude. You can experience the feelings of wealth and the practical outcome by following some simple guidelines. 1. Make choices based on who you really are and what you really want. Notice where you are. Tell the truth to yourself, and then shift to a broader point of view. Listen to what your inner wisdom has been telling you all along. Rewrite your movie script and expect to see changes. Base all your choices on a firm sense of integrity and love for yourself and others. Never do something that you have to rationalize to yourself to make it right. 2. Don't get comfortable with the results. Keep expanding and shifting to a broader love and understanding. I believe as we learn, we must make use of that learning by expressing ourselves in our own unique way. If material gain becomes your guideline, you may not ever find your unique and special gift, and the rest of us will not benefit from what you have to offer. 3. Be present in the world while being a spiritual student. Learn the current rules of the world's game before you decide that you can break them. Learn how to follow your calling and still be practical. Love yourself enough to keep yourself safe while jumping off the cliff. 4. Be bold. Sometimes your dreams don't come true because you haven't dreamed big enough. Expand your possibilities by shifting your point of view and let the unlimited mind take you down a path filled with light. 5. Be willing to do whatever it takes to be successful in all areas of your life. Henry Ford said, paying attention to the little things that most men slight makes a few men rich. Since, without doubt, we receive what we perceive to be reality, why not shift your point of view to an unlimited mind and love first? It will produce the results you are looking for, both for you and your loved ones. Both your bank account and your heart will be full. When you hear the phrase, your money or your life, you choose instead, my money and my life. But how about the world in general? What has been happening with it? For many years, the world has been going through a major shift about money. On one side, we have more and more greed becoming evident. It's always been there. It's just being exposed. And then the chaos that brings it surprises us when it shouldn't. On the other hand, there are those, even in big business, who are choosing to walk the opposite path of greed. And we have seen the outcome of those choices as harmony and prosperity for all. There is a shift of attitude taking place. The shift is happening throughout our culture. It is to be found both in the individual and in companies. The shift is the focus of the future. It is the new revolution, a revolution of thought. It is not the technical revolution. It is the value-driven or quality-driven revolution. This revolution is different than all previous revolutions because it emerges from within the individual and produces results that benefit the world as a whole, not driven by those who want to conquer. It supports those who want everyone to win and prosper. This revolution is changing the way business operates and the way each individual is expected to operate within the organization. This revolution states that the quality of life and the joy and happiness of each individual outweighs the drive for profit as the sole motivating factor. This revolution uses the weapons of imagination and courage to bring about a change. The proponents of this change of attitude believe that without quality values such as ethics, compassion, and service, all victory is hollow. The drive to accumulate money for money's sake is being replaced by the understanding that true wealth involves more than money. Mort Meyerson, CEO of the Perot Corporation, asked the question, to get rich, do you have to be miserable? He gives the answer in his article, Everything I Thought I Knew About Leadership Was Wrong, as a resounding No. As more and more of us discover that we want more than just money, we are changing the face of our culture and the currents of our lives. We are discovering that if we just have money, we may be rich, but we may not be wealthy. Being rich is not enough. As a result, we are asking ourselves, what is wealth? Our answers may vary, but most of us would agree that true wealth includes such values as plenty of time, freedom, health, security, creativity, happiness, and love. The use of money may enhance some of these values, but none of them can be bought with money alone. As we have been talking about, as part of our cultural experience, many of us were taught that in order to achieve the good life, we must spend most of our lives working to earn money that would in turn provide these values or qualities. What many of us have found is that in the pursuit of money, we have lost the essence of our lives. Our biggest regrets do not revolve around unfinished business at the office, but in missing out on the lives of those we love. The values-driven approach to business and life suggests that we must be, encourage, and live these values first. When we make these choices first, the money we need and want will follow. This attitude and approach to life takes courage, especially in the workplace. In her book, Leading from the Heart, Choosing Courage Over Fear in the Workplace, Kay Gilley states that each individual has a specific purpose in life that is their source of purpose and meaning, what brings life to them and them to life. As leaders, we have a responsibility to each person in our workplace to achieve his or her purpose when it is known, to uncover it when it is unknown, and to discover how the purpose can be uniquely experienced in their particular job in this workplace. One employer has said that it is immoral to do anything else. Back in the 90s, there was the beginning of a growing acceptance of the idea that there is much more to life than just work. Paul H. Ray reported in American Demographics that there is an emerging culture, the cultural creatives. He stated that nearly 1 in 4 American adults live by a new set of values. These are the people who believe in environmentalism, feminism, global issues, and spiritual searching. Today, that number must be much higher due to increased awareness. This new attitude is uncovering the truth that we are all surrounded by wealth, but blind to its presence because we are too busy making a living. Wealth is uncovered moment by moment as each one of us takes the time to see it. Waiting to be wealthy implies that it is a matter of time before we can live within the values that are the heritage of each one of us. These values not only can, but must be assessed now in order to achieve continual happiness for everyone. Values are in. Service and ethics are the new buzzwords that drive business. This is the revolution and change of attitude that can open the door for each person and company to assimilate and achieve the full range and values of wealth. Don't you think that it's wonderful that there is a growing acceptance that money is a result of being wealthy and not the cause? More and more people understand that being wealthy involves more than just having money, and that true wealth involves both growing as a person and serving others. Just having money but not being wealthy is only rich. This affects the trends in today's business world. This new trend is based on the knowledge that to build a strong, competitive, and viable business, one needs to have a bold vision and brave ethics. This new point of view states that not only can one have and achieve a bold vision, but it must be achieved ethically. In fact, this point of view states that without ethics, but with lots of money, one is still not wealthy. Of course, this is not a new point of view. This is an old point of view. The quotation from the Bible, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto thee," has long been acknowledged as a wonderful guide for day-to-day life. The news is that business people are talking about this idea with less embarrassment and more excitement and using it in their business life. There are open discussions between all types of business people acknowledging that good business is an outgrowth of the desire to grow and serve. I used to give lots of talks on financial planning. Although I had a different way of approaching it than anyone else I know, I was still not talking about God in any form because it was considered a no-no. Finally, one day when one of my women clients asked me to talk to a women's group, I told her that I would be happy to, but it would also include the concept of spiritual principles. Since she had been my client for a number of years, she knew kinda what I meant, and with a bit of fear and trembling on her part, she booked the talk. It was in downtown LA in the early 90s to a group of women who were lawyers and law assistants. I probably mumbled the words love and God the first time I said them, but I saw a few nods, so I kept on going. More nods, smiles, looking at each other with pleasure. Hey, I thought, there are lots of closet spiritual adventurers out there, and there were, and there are. Women and women business owners are leading the way in this not-so-new-anymore business trend. To women, the idea of service is not new. What is new to many women is the willingness to accept that service not only can, but will bring money. This new trend acknowledges that doing business ethically will produce more than just money to survive. It brings with it big buck money. This money comes as the result of a bold vision, backed by those brave ethics we've been talking about. To do this requires some changing of thought as to how things work. The point of view that there is not enough for everyone does not breed an ethical win-win atmosphere. The new point of view knows that there is not only enough, but plenty for all, and that working in the spirit of cooperation results in a state of wealth for everyone. Another old point of view is that if one is wealthy, then the funds probably were obtained in a negative fashion. This is the other side of the coin to belief that the end justifies the means. But we are all discovering that this is not necessary and not true. Of course, this knowledge has been around for a long time. Back in the 70s, author Doug Boyd said, "This is the age of international endeavor and one world consciousness." Those who have built on greed find that everything that is not built on ethics and values, and truly within the context of the qualities of God in action, will crumble. However, we do not have to go with it. Even if we were lured into thinking that was the right way, we can shift our perception now to the truth of our being and celebrate that nothing has changed. We are always supplied. We are always one with abundance. We have what we need in every moment if we would but look. And looking is simply staying in gratitude for what we do have. The trend in businesses has changed and must continue to change. Both small businesses and large corporations must look for ways to do business in a win-win fashion. It must become acceptable and even desirable to have both parties win. In reality, there is nothing new about this point of view. There have always been those who have made this choice. However, in the past, it was a quiet choice. It was not something discussed in boardrooms. Since good guys finished last was the belief system, good guys kept quiet about their choice. Now, in all sizes of businesses, the statement, good guys finish first has not only come out of the closet, it has become the password and the focus of the future. It is up to all of us to make sure that it remains the predominant message by acting from that idea within our daily lives. So what do we know? We know that it is a limited perception that claims that there's not enough wealth. Lack of time, energy, health, love, courage, peace, etc. are examples of this limited perception. With imagination, all these lacks can be turned into opportunities. A quick turnaround for every situation that looks like lack or not enough is to face it with the question, what if I choose to see it another way? Or is this true? Looking at lack from another perspective will always uncover an opportunity and change the situation. The question, what if, challenges the status quo of our thoughts and perceptions. With new perceptions, there is no limit to what riches will flood our lives. Being willing to imagine opens the door to new ideas. Ideas are the rivers through which wealth travels. The wider the river, the bigger the flood. It's time to open the floodgates of wealth. We must all become conscious of true wealth and experience being rich in truth. There is nothing to fear, only love to gain. But how do you know if you're wealthy? Is it a number? We've talked about that it's a feeling. When we fully awake to the understanding that it is a feeling and not a number, we will find that we are already wealthy. When we live from that sense of wealth, everything material that is necessary for us to feel secure, loved, and free will be seen as currently present. Since wealth is a feeling, it can be measured or understood by being conscious of the qualities of values that make us wealthy. Become an observer of your life. Observe the things that make you feel wealthy and happy. Translate these feelings to a quality. For example, often when I write in the winter, I sit by a fire early in the morning, in the dark, and in a very quiet, comfortable home. I feel very wealthy in those moments. I feel the qualities of peace, quiet, warmth, and silence as present. Also the beauty of the flames, the opportunity to write, the easy use of my laptop. All are part of my feeling wealthy. They are for me the qualities of freedom. I could continue with this list as the day dawns. I feel joy when I share the dawn with the birds that come to my feeder. Gratitude for the opportunity to express my strength and flexibility when I go for a walk or do stretch exercises. Happiness for the friends and family that I can contact by phone or email. Everything I see and feel can all be translated to a quality. It just takes a bit of practice. But once you start, you will never go back to counting numbers to figure out how wealthy you are. These qualities are what represent wealth. Now we know that most of us have it backwards. We work to have things, thinking they will represent wealth, and once we have them, we realize, if we are paying attention, that having these things does not bring the feelings or experience of wealth that we were expecting. If we don't pay attention to what brings us the feelings of wealth and then choose to design our lives around these qualities, we could easily trade an entire lifetime of having wealth for a lifetime of trying to get wealthy. Take the time to make a quality list of what makes you feel wealthy. As you know, these feelings can be translated to one word. This will bring you to the essence of the feeling. This list can be hundreds of qualities long, but eventually narrow it down to 8 to 10 qualities. Since a quality block or qualities that are equal in your mind can cause the manifestation mechanism present in all of us to be confused about what you really want, it's extremely helpful to put this list in order. This is not something you can do for yourself. This is because the mind that thinks it is you will try to put it in the right order, but that will not be how you truly feel. Since it is our feelings that represent our wealth, you need someone else to help you do this by comparing each word with another and then placing them in order. Of course, you can find out how to do these quality lists in my book, Living in Grace, or write me, and I will send you a quick worksheet. Doing these correctly is important, so be sure to consult the book or join one of the masterminds we have at the Shift and do it with us. What is a result of making these lists? They are a touchstone for your future. Once you understand that what you believe to be reality magnifies and focus on the reality of these qualities, then this big R reality will magnify in your life. You will know you are wealthy now. You will begin to make choices that represent what you really want rather than what you think others think you want. You will find wealth everywhere, and you will give wealth by being present in your life. As a result of choosing qualities first, you will find that everything that is necessary for your well-being is present, including money. Then you will make wise and loving choices as how to spend and save and invest that money. This was fun talking about wealth today, wasn't it? Remember that we reap the harvest of what we believe to be true. This is always the good news. It means we don't have to go anywhere outside of our own thinking in order to experience increased supply. As we understand, live, and practice the truth of being, we gain a clearer and clearer understanding that there is a science of supply just as there is a science of mathematics. Remember Jesus, who certainly made the choice to live the fullest expression of himself. Remember the loaves and fishes? To feed the crowd, Jesus did not have to wait for supply. He did not have to go anywhere to increase what was already present to him. However, he did discipline his thinking, and he did give thanks, and he did take action. We can do that. We can begin there. We can get better at disciplining our thinking. We can certainly always give thanks, and we can take action as we hear the sweet voice within that directs us to the awareness of the infinite abundance that is ours now. As we maintain that truth, we will experience in practical forms an increased and consistent supply. And until we no longer use money as a means of exchange, that includes cash. As designer Candace Olson says at the end of her design show, how divine.